Have you ever felt that you know a lot of English, but you still can't quite express your true personality? If that frustrating feeling sounds familiar, then you are in exactly the right place. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Elena, your host for today's lesson. It's a pleasure to have you with us. If you're a new member of our community, we are dedicated to uploading regular, insightful English learning videos designed to help you accelerate your journey to fluency. In today's comprehensive masterclass, you will have the opportunity to do more than just improve your listening skills. You will actively expand your vocabulary, refine your sentence structures, and practice the kind of sophisticated, advanced English that will confidently guide you to the C1 level. Today's lesson is entirely focused on building a vocabulary that allows you to sound natural, self-assured, and genuinely fluent in your everyday life. We will explore the nuanced expressions, elegant phrases, and complex sentence patterns that advanced speakers use instinctively, almost without a second thought. Whether you are engaging in casual conversations with friends, composing formal messages for work, or explaining intricate ideas, this advanced vocabulary is the essential key that unlocks a new level of fluency and deep-seated confidence. By the conclusion of this video, you will not only understand how to effectively use advanced vocabulary in a variety of different contexts, but you will also have practiced it with me, step by step, ensuring that it is cemented in your mind and becomes an active, integrated part of your own speech. Before we dive in, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel and have tapped the notification bell so you never miss an opportunity to improve your English with me. So find a comfortable spot, relax, and if you'd like, grab a pen and a notebook to capture the words and phrases we explore together. Let's begin our shared journey to C1 fluency. Now, when we discuss the process of reaching the C1 level, it's crucial to understand that it is about much more than just memorizing a long list of difficult words from a dictionary. It is about acquiring the skill to use words naturally within their proper context and with an air of complete confidence. For example, think about the tangible difference between saying a simple functional sentence like, "I am very tired," and a more advanced descriptive one like, "I am completely exhausted." While both sentences convey the same basic meaning, the second one feels undeniably stronger, more sophisticated, and far more natural at the higher levels of English proficiency. As you listen throughout this session, I want to invite you to shadow me. Shadowing means that you repeat what I say slowly and clearly right after I say it. This powerful method will help you internalize the natural rhythm, the precise pronunciation, and the contextual usage of these advanced phrases. So let's try it together right now. First, the basic sentence. I am very tired. Now I want you to repeat after me. I am completely exhausted. Good. You can immediately hear and feel the difference. At the C1 level, it is precisely these kinds of small, deliberate upgrades that make your English sound richer, more articulate, and far more precise. Let's explore another example to solidify this concept. Instead of saying, "The performance was very good," which is perfectly fine but quite basic, you could elevate your expression by saying, "The performance was absolutely brilliant." Rather than saying, "His idea is very smart," you could say, "His idea is remarkably intelligent." Notice how these stronger, more descriptive adjectives instantly lift your English to a higher standard of expression. This isn't about trying to show off with big words. It's about expressing yourself with greater variety, more color, and more accuracy. Now, let's put this into practice with a short, focused exercise. Imagine you are talking about a recent trip you took. A basic sentence would be, "The landscape was very beautiful." At a C1 level, however, you might say, "The landscape was breathtakingly beautiful." Repeat that after me slowly, focusing on the sound and feel of the words. The landscape was breathtakingly beautiful. Excellent. Can you feel how that sentence now paints a much stronger and more vivid image in the mind of the person you're speaking to? At this advanced level, fluency also means being able to articulate your thoughts and ideas in multiple, flexible ways. For example, instead of exclusively relying on the phrase, "I don't know," you could expand your repertoire with alternatives like, "I'm not entirely sure," or "I can't say with certainty." These alternatives not only make you sound more advanced, but they also allow you to sound more polite and professional, depending on the situation. Let's do another practice round together. Please repeat after me. "I'm not entirely sure." And let's try the other one. "I can't say with certainty." Now think of a daily situation where this might be useful. Maybe someone at your workplace or in your university class asks you a very specific or difficult question. Instead of staying silent or giving a blunt "I don't know," these phrases will give you the confidence to respond naturally and thoughtfully. Next, we absolutely must talk about connectors because at the C1 level, connecting your ideas seamlessly is what demonstrates true fluency. Words like "moreover," "nevertheless," "consequently," and "on the other hand" are the bridges that allow your sentences to flow together with the grace of a native speaker. For example, you could say, "I was feeling quite ill. Nevertheless, I finished the report on time." Or another example, "She prepared diligently for her exam. Consequently, she achieved an excellent grade." Now let's practice these aloud. Shadow me on this first one. "I was feeling quite ill. Nevertheless, I finished the report on time." And now the second, "She prepared diligently for her exam. Consequently, she achieved an excellent grade." These are precisely the kinds of sentences that will help you in both your speaking and your writing as you aim for that advanced level of fluency. As we continue our exploration, I want you to actively imagine real-life conversations where these words and phrases could naturally appear. Think about being in a professional job interview, a university discussion panel, or even just casually chatting with your friends about a recent movie. Using advanced vocabulary organically and confidently in these very moments is what will build your self-assurance and effectively move you from an intermediate level to an advanced one. For a bit of practice, try speaking about your weekend using one advanced connector. For example, "I had planned to stay home and relax." On the other hand, "My friends convinced me to join them for a concert." Repeat this sentence after me. Good. Now try to create your own version in your mind about your own weekend and say it out loud. This is how you can actively practice advanced English on a daily basis. By taking simple, everyday situations and elevating the language with richer vocabulary and smoother, more logical connectors. Remember, the journey to learning advanced English is not a race. It's about practicing deliberately, repeating often, and allowing new words and complex structures to become a comfortable and natural part of your everyday speech. That is precisely why in this masterclass, we will go step by step, patiently building your vocabulary, practicing pronunciation, and using practical examples from daily life that you can immediately understand and apply in your own conversations. One of the key things that truly separates C1 level speakers from others is their finely tuned ability to select the perfect word for the right situation. It's not about the size of your vocabulary, but its precision. For instance, instead of saying the generic phrase, "he said something," an advanced learner might choose, "he remarked," "he commented," or "he pointed out." Each of these specific choices changes the nuance of the sentence ever so slightly. And this is exactly what gives your English that polished, advanced, and sophisticated feel. Let's practice this concept together right now. Repeat after me slowly and thoughtfully. He remarked that the project was behind schedule. Now let's try another one. She commented on the quality of the new software. And one more for good measure. The manager pointed out a mistake in the monthly report. Do you see how each version feels subtly different? This is the essence of vocabulary in action. The art of carefully selecting the right word to convey the exact meaning that you intend. Another incredibly important area to master at the C1 level is the use of idiomatic expressions. Native speakers use idioms so naturally and frequently that they make conversations sound more colorful, dynamic, and alive. For example, instead of saying, "I'm very nervous," you could use the popular idiom, "I have butterflies in my stomach." Instead of saying, "It was easy," you could say, "It was a piece of cake." Instead of telling someone to stop wasting time and say what they mean, you might say, "Stop beating around the bush." Let's practice these expressions together. Listen and repeat after me. I have butterflies in my stomach. Now the next one. It was a piece of cake. And the last one. Stop beating around the bush. Excellent. These are lively expressions that you can begin to bring into your daily conversations right away. Imagine telling a friend before an important job interview, "I have butterflies in my stomach." That one small change immediately makes your English feel more advanced, more natural, and more relatable. Now let's turn our attention to advanced ways of agreeing and disagreeing. At the B1 or B2 levels, students often say, "I agree" or "I don't agree." But at C1, you have the opportunity to expand this range to show more nuance. For example, instead of a simple, "I agree," you could try expressing a stronger sentiment with, "I couldn't agree more." Or, "That's absolutely true." Or you could say, "I see your point and I share the same opinion." When you disagree, instead of the blunt, "I don't agree," you can soften your language and sound more diplomatic by saying, "I'm afraid I can't share that view." Or, "That's not quite how I see it." Or the classic formal phrase, "I beg to differ." Let's try some of these together. Shadow me now. I couldn't agree more. That's absolutely true. I beg to differ. That's not quite how I see it. Great. Now imagine you are in a classroom discussion or a meeting at work, and you need to respond to someone's point politely but firmly. These phrases give you the confidence and the tools to express yourself clearly without sounding too direct or too simplistic. Your level of fluency also depends heavily on how you tell stories. At the advanced level, learners are expected to be able to add detail, use rich, descriptive language, and create a sense of interest when they recount events. Let's take a very simple sentence. I went to the museum yesterday. At a C1 level, you might expand this and say, yesterday, I spent a fascinating afternoon at the museum, completely absorbed by the ancient artifacts and the vibrant paintings. Do you notice the profound difference? The second sentence paints a complete picture. It gives the listener something to actually imagine and connect with. Let's practice this together. Repeat after me slowly, feeling the imagery in the words. Yesterday, I spent a fascinating afternoon at the museum, completely absorbed by the ancient artifacts and the vibrant paintings. Excellent. Now take a moment to think of a simple daily activity, like cooking dinner or going shopping. Try to expand your sentence with extra details, descriptive words, or even the emotions you were feeling. That is how you grow from B2 to C1, by making your everyday language more vivid, more detailed, and more expressive. We should also work on transition words and phrases because advanced speakers use them constantly to guide the listener through their thoughts. For example, to begin with, in addition, as a result, in contrast, and on the whole. These small but powerful phrases help your speech sound structured, logical, and smooth. Let's repeat some of them together to get a feel for them. To begin with, in addition, as a result, on the whole. Very good. The next time you share your opinion or describe your day, make a conscious effort to include one or two transitions to connect your ideas more naturally and professionally. Here's a short practice exercise to illustrate the point. Imagine you are describing your morning routine. A basic version might be, I woke up, I had coffee, I started work. But an advanced version could be, to begin with, I woke up early to enjoy the quiet morning. In addition, I brewed a fresh pot of coffee which helped me feel more alert. As a result, I felt energized and ready for the day's tasks. Repeat this more advanced version after me slowly, and notice how the transitions effortlessly guide the story from one point to the next. At C1, your vocabulary should also help you express your emotions and opinions with subtlety. Instead of just saying, I like it, you might say, I find it fascinating, or I genuinely appreciate it. On the other hand, instead of I don't like it, you could say, it doesn't really appeal to me, or I'm not particularly fond of it. These softer, more nuanced expressions are a clear mark of advanced communication skills. Let's practice them together. Repeat after me. I find it fascinating. I genuinely appreciate it. It doesn't really appeal to me. I'm not particularly fond of it. Excellent. These phrases will help you sound more natural, polite, and advanced in all of your daily conversations. Please remember, practice is everything. To really internalize this wide range of vocabulary, you need to actively use it. So, here's a personal challenge for you. Today, when you speak English, try to replace one simple word or phrase with a more advanced alternative from this lesson. Maybe instead of saying very good, you'll make the switch to outstanding. Instead of saying I don't know, you'll try I can't say with certainty. Each and every time you do this, you are building your C1 English brick by brick. Another important aspect of advanced English is how you manage and create emphasis. At the C1 level, you don't always need to rely on words like very or really to strengthen your ideas. Instead, you can use more precise, powerful, and evocative words. For example, instead of saying very hungry, you could say that you are starving. Instead of really cold, you might say that it is freezing. Instead of very big, you could describe something as enormous or gigantic. Let's practice these together. Repeat after me. I'm starving. It's freezing outside. The building was enormous. Perfect. Now think of one simple sentence that you often use, like I'm very happy. At a C1 level, you have a wealth of alternatives. You could say, I'm delighted, I'm overjoyed, or I'm thrilled. These alternatives not only sound more natural, but they also express different shades and degrees of that feeling. Here's a small exercise for you to try. Imagine you're describing your weekend to a friend. Instead of saying, the concert was very good, try elevating it to, the concert was phenomenal. Instead of, the restaurant was very bad, try intensifying it with, the restaurant was dreadful. By practicing like this, you'll begin to train your brain to automatically reach for stronger, more interesting vocabulary instead of falling back on simple words. Another crucial step toward advanced fluency is mastering collocations. These are words that naturally and frequently go together in English. For example, we say, make a decision, not do a decision. We drink strong coffee, not powerful coffee, and we experience heavy rain, not big rain. These natural word partnerships are what make your English sound authentic and fluent. Let's practice some common and useful collocations together. Repeat after me. Make progress, catch a bus, break the news, keep a promise, pay attention, run a business. Excellent. Notice how natural and correct they feel when said together. At the C1 level, learning collocations is often even more important than memorizing individual words because they show you how vocabulary actually works in the context of daily speech. Let's build a quick practice story that is filled with collocations. Listen carefully first and then repeat after me slowly. Yesterday, I made a decision to run a small business online. In the morning, I caught a bus into town to buy supplies. On the way, my friend called me to break the news that she was moving abroad. I promised to keep in touch and I paid attention to her every word. By the end of the day, I felt that I had made real progress. Excellent! That is a completely natural sounding story that is packed with collocations you can adapt and use in your own conversations. At the C1 level, you also need to master what is known as hedging language. This means softening your statements to sound more polite, more professional, or more cautious. Instead of stating directly, "This is wrong," you might say, "I'm not sure that's entirely correct." Instead of the blunt, "You are late," you could say, "It seems you've arrived a bit later than we expected." This type of language is incredibly common in academic, business, and even friendly discussions because it sounds respectful and balanced. Let's practice some of these useful hedging phrases together. Repeat after me. I'm not entirely sure. It seems that it appears to be. From my perspective, as far as I can tell, these phrases will help you to express your opinions without sounding too direct or too aggressive. This is a skill that is highly useful in professional or international settings where politeness and diplomacy can make a huge difference. Another powerful tool for advanced speakers is mastering modal verbs for speculation and deduction. For example, saying, "He must be tired" means you are almost sure it's true. Saying, "He might be tired" means you think it's a possibility. And saying, "He can't be tired" means you believe it's impossible. These small changes in modal verbs make your English far more flexible and nuanced. Let's practice this in some daily life contexts. Repeat after me. She must be at work. The lights in her office are on. He might be busy. He hasn't answered his phone all day. That can't be true. I saw it with my own eyes. Perfect. By practicing modals in this way, you train yourself to express varying levels of certainty, possibility, and impossibility, a key skill for C1 English. Now let's expand our toolkit with discourse markers. These are the phrases we use to organize our ideas and to sound more natural in conversation. For example, frankly speaking, between you and me, if I'm honest, to be fair, and in my opinion. These make your English sound smooth, connected, and just like a native level conversation. Let's try some together. Repeat after me. Frankly speaking, I don't think that's the best idea. Between you and me, I was a little nervous before the meeting. To be fair, the movie wasn't as bad as people said. Excellent. These little touches add personality and a natural flow to your speech, and they are a strong signal of advanced fluency. Finally, in this section, let's bring everything together with a longer practice exercise. Imagine you're talking about a challenge you faced recently and you want to sound advanced and confident. Repeat after me, sentence by sentence, slowly and clearly. Frankly speaking, last week was exhausting. I was absolutely overwhelmed with work. Nevertheless, I managed to make progress and complete my tasks on time. It seems that my colleagues appreciated my efforts, and I couldn't agree more that teamwork made the difference. On the whole, it was a challenging week, but I feel delighted with what we achieved. Wonderful. Notice how this short story skillfully combined strong vocabulary, logical connectors, natural collocations, and polite hedging language. That is exactly how you reach C1 fluency. At the C1 level, one of the most valuable and versatile skills you can develop is the ability to rephrase. Rephrasing means saying the same idea in different ways, depending on the specific context. This is incredibly powerful because it shows true flexibility in your communication. For example, if someone asks you, "Do you understand?" At a basic level, you might simply reply, "Yes, I understand." But at C1, you have a range of options. You could say, "Yes, I follow your point," or "Yes, I get what you mean," or "Yes, that makes sense to me." Each option expresses agreement, but each one carries a slightly different tone, be it formal, casual, or neutral. This skill makes your English sound alive, responsive, and adaptable. Let's practice these together. Repeat after me slowly. I follow your point. I get what you mean. That makes sense to me? Good. Now imagine a friend is explaining a new app to you. Instead of just saying, "I understand," over and over, try using one of these alternatives. This flexibility is precisely what makes you sound like an advanced speaker. Another dimension of C1 fluency is demonstrating sophistication in how you express your opinions. At lower levels, learners often say, "I think," again and again. But at C1, you can and should expand this with a variety of phrases such as, "In my view, from my perspective, as far as I'm concerned, if you ask me and the way I see it." These alternatives not only make your English sound richer, but they also help you avoid tedious repetition, which is a clear mark of advanced communication. Let's do this together. Repeat after me. In my view, this approach is more effective. From my perspective, we should try something different. As far as I'm concerned, learning English daily is the best strategy. If you ask me, the book was better than the movie. The way I see it, practice leads to progress. Excellent. You now have 5 new ways to express your opinion without always falling back on the simple, I think. We also need to focus on advanced time expressions because these often pose a challenge for learners. Instead of only saying yesterday or last week, you can use more nuanced phrases such as the other day, in the meantime, at the end of the day, or in the long run. These expressions are extremely common among native speakers and they give your speech a more authentic and natural rhythm. Let's practice them now. Repeat after me. I met her the other day. In the meantime, I'll keep working on this project. At the end of the day, we all want to be happy. In the long run, practice always pays off. Perfect. Try to consciously use one of these expressions the next time you tell a story about your daily life. At the C1 level, your fluency also depends on mastering the subtle but important difference between formal and informal registers. In a casual conversation with a friend, you might say, "Can you help me out?" However, in a professional meeting with your manager, you might instead say, "Would you be able to assist me with this?" Both phrases mean the same thing, but the second one is significantly more formal and polite. Being able to effortlessly shift between these registers shows an advanced control of the English language. Let's practice this skill together. First, repeat the informal phrase, "Can you help me out?" Now repeat the formal one. "Would you be able to assist me with this?" Great. Now imagine 2 different scenarios in your mind. One where you are speaking with a close friend, and one where you are speaking with your boss. Which phrase would you use in each case? This constant awareness of context is what makes your English sound sophisticated and always appropriate. Another crucial area for C1 learners is building range with phrasal verbs and their more formal equivalents. For example, instead of the phrasal verb put off, you might use the single verb postpone. Instead of come up with, you might use devise. Instead of give up, you could use surrender. And instead of find out, you might say discover. Phrasal verbs are extremely common in everyday spoken English, while their single word equivalents are often preferred in academic or professional writing and speaking. A C1 learner can move comfortably and accurately between both. Let's try it now. Repeat after me. We had to put off the meeting. We had to postpone the meeting. She came up with a new idea. She devised a new idea. He gave up the fight. He surrendered the fight. Did you find out the answer? Did you discover the answer? Wonderful. Notice how each version feels slightly different depending on the context, but both are grammatically correct. That's the kind of flexibility you want to achieve. At this stage, it's also important to practice storytelling with advanced connectors. Imagine you're describing a trip. At a basic level, you might say, "I went to Paris. I saw the Eiffel Tower. I took photos, I ate food." At the C1 level, you would weave a much richer narrative. "Last summer, I had the opportunity to visit Paris, and needless to say, it was unforgettable. Not only did I see the Eiffel Tower, but I also explored hidden streets and charming cafes. Moreover, I captured dozens of photographs to keep as memories. And to top it all off, the food was absolutely exquisite." Do you hear the dramatic difference? The second version flows, it engages the listener, and it paints a vivid picture. Let's practice this together slowly. Repeat after me. Last summer, I had the opportunity to visit Paris, and needless to say, it was unforgettable. Not only did I see the Eiffel Tower, but I also explored hidden streets and charming cafes. Moreover, I captured dozens of photographs to keep as memories. And to top it all off, the food was absolutely exquisite. Excellent. That's storytelling at an advanced level. Now let's shift to another key element of C1, expressing cause and effect with sophistication. Instead of always using because, you can use phrases like due to, owing to, as a result of, or thanks to. Instead of only saying so, you can use alternatives like therefore, thus, consequently, or hence. These connectors not only enrich your vocabulary, but they also make your sentences sound more academic, professional, and polished. Let's practice with me. Repeat after me. Due to the heavy rain, the match was canceled. Owing to his dedication, he succeeded in his exams. As a result of the delay, the meeting was postponed. Thanks to her support, I felt more confident. Now let's practice the so alternatives. The team worked hard, therefore they achieved success. The evidence was clear, thus the case was closed. She didn't study, consequently she failed. He was the eldest, hence he took responsibility. Very good. These connectors will be especially useful in academic essays, debates, and formal writing. Finally, let's put everything we've practiced in this part of the lesson into a longer advanced practice paragraph that you can shadow. Repeat after me slowly, focusing on the flow and the meaning. In the long run, learning English every day will bring you closer to fluency. Owing to consistent practice, your confidence will steadily grow. Moreover, as a result of applying advanced vocabulary, you will begin to sound more natural and precise. At the end of the day, language is about connection, and needless to say, the more variety you have, the more deeply you can connect with people. Therefore, never stop challenging yourself because every word you learn builds another step toward mastery. Excellent. That's advanced fluency in action. At the advanced level, you also need to practice how you emphasize contrast in your speech. Native speakers do this naturally, and it makes their conversations sound dynamic and engaging. Instead of simply saying, but, you can use more sophisticated words like however, nevertheless, nonetheless, even so, or the phrase having said that. Each of these gives your English more depth and sophistication. Let's practice these together. Repeat after me. I was tired, however, I kept working until midnight. It was raining. Nevertheless, we went for a walk. She was nervous. Nonetheless, she delivered a great presentation. The plan was risky. Even so, they decided to try it. I usually prefer tea. Having said that, I don't mind a cup of coffee sometimes. Excellent. These words are not only for writing, but are also very common in speaking. And using them shows that you can handle subtlety in your communication. Another area where C1 learners truly stand out is in expressing probability and possibility with nuance. Instead of always saying maybe, you could say it's likely, it's probable, there's a good chance, it's doubtful, or it's highly unlikely. These expressions allow you to show different degrees of certainty, which is very important for academic, professional, and everyday conversations. Let's practice with me. Repeat after me. It's likely that he'll arrive late. There's a good chance she'll win the competition. It's doubtful that they'll finish on time. It's highly unlikely that the store will be open now. Very good. Now imagine you're predicting tomorrow's weather. Instead of saying, maybe it will rain, you could say, it's likely to rain tomorrow. This small change immediately makes your English sound more advanced and well-informed. Now let's explore advanced ways of showing cause and purpose. Instead of always so that, try in order to with the aim of or so as to. These structures will make your sentences richer. Repeat after me slowly. I studied hard in order to pass the exam. She started the project with the aim of helping her community. He spoke clearly so as to be understood by everyone. Excellent. These alternatives give you more options to express your intentions. Another powerful step is mastering synonyms with slight differences in tone. Take the word important. You can say crucial, essential, vital, or significant. Each adds precision. For example, it is crucial to follow the instructions. Sleep is essential for good health. Water is vital for survival. This is a significant discovery. Let's practice them. Repeat after me. It is crucial to follow the instructions. Sleep is essential for good health. Water is vital for survival. This is a significant discovery. Excellent. You now have new ways to avoid repetition and sound advanced. At C1, your ability to describe subtle feelings also becomes important. Instead of I'm happy, you can say I'm content, I'm delighted, or I'm thrilled. Instead of I'm sad, you might say I'm downhearted or I'm devastated. These words give your speech emotional color. Let's shadow these. Repeat after me. I'm content with my results. I'm delighted to hear your news. I'm thrilled about the opportunity. I'm devastated by the outcome. Great. This kind of personalization helps vocabulary stay in your memory. Let's also spend time on storytelling with comparisons. At a basic level, my town is small. At C1, compared to the capital, my town is relatively small, but it's much more peaceful. This sentence compares, contrasts, and adds detail. Repeat this after me slowly. Compared to the capital, my town is relatively small, but it's much more peaceful. Excellent. That's how you build advanced fluency step by step. Another area to develop is expressing degrees of opinion. At C1, you can say, I agree to a certain extent, or I agree up to a point, or I strongly disagree. These show you can handle complexity in discussions. Let's practice. Repeat after me. I agree to a certain extent. I strongly disagree. I absolutely support that idea. Excellent. Using these expressions will make your English sound more advanced and confident. Finally, let's finish this section with a longer practice paragraph. Repeat after me slowly. In my view, developing advanced vocabulary is crucial for reaching C1 fluency. Compared to beginners, advanced learners can express subtle emotions and complex opinions. Nevertheless, this doesn't happen overnight. It requires constant practice. As far as I'm concerned, the best way to achieve this is by using new words daily in order to make them part of your natural speech. At the end of the day, fluency is not just about accuracy, but about flexibility and confidence. Wonderful. This is exactly how your English will grow stronger day by day. At the C1 level, one of the biggest differences is the ability to sound persuasive. This is useful in daily life when you want to convince someone or share your point of view. Instead of, I think this is good, you could say, there are several reasons why this approach is effective. Or, the evidence strongly suggests that this method works better. These expressions show confidence and logical thinking. Let's practice some persuasive phrases. Repeat after me. There are several reasons why this approach is effective. I firmly believe that consistent practice leads to fluency. Great. These expressions give strength to your ideas. Another area that shows advanced fluency is speculating about the past. You can use advanced modal verbs like might have, could have, or should have. For example, he might have missed his flight. They could have tried harder. I should have studied more for the exam. These forms allow you to express possibilities and regrets. Let's practice this carefully. Repeat after me. He might have missed his flight. They could have arrived earlier. I should have studied more for the exam. Excellent. This reflection strengthens your ability to use grammar naturally. Another skill is paraphrasing. Imagine you need to explain the same idea in a different way. At C1, you can do this smoothly. For example, instead of, it's very important to practice, you could say, practice plays a vital role. Or, regular practice is essential. Let's shadow these together. Repeat after me slowly. Practice plays a vital role. Regular practice is essential. Consistent practice is the key to progress. Excellent. This flexibility is one of the strongest signs of C1 fluency. Now let's move to emphasis through inversion. This is when you change the normal word order, which is common in advanced English. For example, never have I seen such a beautiful sight. Rarely do we get such an opportunity. Only after I finished did I realize my mistake. These structures sound powerful. Let's try it. Repeat after me. Never have I seen such a beautiful sight. Rarely do we get such an opportunity. Only after I finished did I realize my mistake. Excellent. These advanced structures make your English sound more dramatic and polished. At the C1 level, your ability to use conditionals with nuance is also important. You'll want to practice mixed conditionals. For example, if I had studied harder, I would be more confident now. This combines the past with the present. Let's practice slowly. Repeat after me. If I had studied harder, I would be more confident now. Great. The more you practice, the more natural these advanced conditionals will become. Another advanced tool is mastering emphasis through cleft sentences. Instead of, I liked the music, you could say, what I really liked was the music. Instead of, she helped me the most, you could say, it was she who helped me the most. These structures add focus. Let's shadow them. Repeat after me. What I really liked was the music. It was she who helped me the most. Excellent. Notice how these sentences highlight specific parts of the message. Finally, let's bring this section to a close with a full practice story. Repeat after me slowly. Never have I felt such a sense of achievement as when I reached my English goals. What I realized was that consistent daily practice truly makes a difference. If I had given up earlier, I would not be speaking with confidence now. There are several reasons why this approach works so well. It builds confidence and creates good habits. Only after months of dedication did I understand how powerful these small steps were. At the end of the day, fluency is not about talent, it's about persistence. Excellent. This is the kind of storytelling that clearly shows C1 level mastery. At C1 level, one of the strongest features of your English is your ability to add nuance when you agree or disagree. Instead of always saying, I agree or I disagree, you can show levels of agreement. For example, I agree with you to a large extent, or I agree with you in principle, or I can see where you're coming from. However, I see it differently. These phrases allow you to participate in discussions with more depth and flexibility. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. I agree with you to a large extent. I agree with you in principle, but I can see where you're coming from. However, I see it differently. Very good. Notice how these phrases make you sound thoughtful and respectful. Another area where C1 learners shine is in handling abstract topics. You don't only talk about what you did yesterday. You can also discuss ideas like success, happiness, or technology in complex ways. For example, instead of, success is important, you could say, success is often measured in terms of money and status, but in my opinion, true success lies in personal growth and happiness. That longer version shows your ability to explain and support your ideas. Let's shadow this together. Repeat after me. Success is often measured in terms of money and status, but in my opinion, true success lies in personal growth and happiness. Excellent. This practice is what takes your English from B2 to C1. Another feature is your ability to describe situations with precision using adverbs and adjectives. Instead of, he spoke loudly, you could say, he spoke assertively. Instead of, she answered quickly, you could say, she answered promptly. Instead of, they worked hard, you could say, they worked diligently. Each of these words adds character. Practice with me. Repeat after me. He spoke assertively. She answered promptly. They worked diligently. Very good. When you master these kinds of vocabulary choices, you start to sound like someone who has true command of the language. At the C1 level, you also want to master subtle expressions of contrast and balance. For instance, you could say, on the one hand, learning vocabulary is time-consuming. On the other hand, it's essential for fluency. Or, while technology connects us, it can also isolate us. These balanced structures are useful when you want to show more than one side of an issue. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. On the one hand, learning vocabulary is time-consuming. On the other hand, it's essential for fluency. While technology connects us, it can also isolate us. Excellent. Next time you talk about a topic, try to include both sides in your response. Another key skill is your ability to use softening language politely. Instead of, you are wrong, you might say, I'm not entirely convinced by that argument. Instead of, you need to do this, you could say, you might want to consider doing this. These small adjustments make your communication smoother and more respectful. Repeat after me. I'm not entirely convinced by that argument. You might want to consider doing this. It seems to me that there could be another way. Perfect. Try using one of these phrases the next time you give advice. Now, let's practice more advanced storytelling. Imagine telling a story about a challenge you faced. At a basic level, I had a problem at work. I solved it. At C1, you could expand it. Not long ago, I faced a significant challenge at work when our project was delayed. At first, I was frustrated. However, I reminded myself that setbacks are part of the learning process. Consequently, I reorganized my schedule, delegated tasks more effectively, and in the end, the project was completed successfully. The experience taught me resilience and time management, skills I now value greatly. Let's shadow this story slowly. Repeat after me. Excellent. This kind of story is what you need to practice regularly. Finally, let's end this section with a powerful practice paragraph. Repeat after me slowly. In today's world, it is undeniable that learning English is a crucial skill. While it can sometimes feel overwhelming, the long-term benefits are enormous. On the one hand, it requires daily effort. On the other hand, it opens doors to education, career, and international friendships. From my perspective, it's not only about vocabulary or grammar, but about the confidence to express who you truly are. At the end of the day, fluency is not about perfection. It's about communication, connection, and growth. Excellent. That's exactly how advanced fluency feels. Rich, expressive, and human. At the C1 level, one of the most noticeable skills is the ability to explain cause and effect with subtlety. Instead of always using because, you can stretch your language and say, given that, owing to the fact that, in light of, or considering that. For example, the meeting was canceled owing to the fact that the storm made travel impossible, or in light of the new regulations, the company had to change its strategy. These phrases make your speech longer, more complex, and more professional. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. The meeting was canceled owing to the fact that the storm made travel impossible. In light of the new regulations, the company had to change its strategy. Considering that she was ill, it was understandable that she stayed home. Excellent. Using these kinds of structures will give you the flexibility to write essays and participate in debates. Another skill at C1 is using emphasis to highlight contrast with advanced structures. Instead of, it's important, you can use phrases like, what is essential is, or the key point is, or the most striking thing is. These cleft-style sentences draw the listener's attention to exactly what matters. Repeat after me. What is essential is that we practice every day. The key point is that fluency takes time. The most striking thing is how quickly your English improves when you practice consistently. Perfect. Notice how these structures give weight to your ideas. We should also focus on advanced linking phrases that create logical flow. Instead of only and or but, you can use in addition to that, what's more, on top of that, or furthermore. Imagine telling someone about your trip. A C1 version could be, I went to Rome, and in addition to that, I had the chance to see the Colosseum. What's more, the pizza I ate there was some of the best I've ever tasted. Practice with me. Repeat after me slowly. In addition to that, I had the chance to see the Colosseum. What's more, the pizza I ate there was some of the best I've ever tasted. Furthermore, I met new friends who made the trip unforgettable. Excellent. Do you hear how these transitions make the story flow more naturally? Another hallmark of advanced fluency is being able to make concessions in your speech. Concessions mean admitting one side of an argument while still holding your main position. You might say, while I see your point, I still believe that. Or, although that's true to some extent, I would argue that. These phrases make you sound diplomatic and confident. Let's practice these together. Repeat after me. While I see your point, I still believe that practice is essential. Although that's true to some extent, I would argue that vocabulary must also be a priority. Great. These are the types of sentences that will impress in exams and professional contexts. At this level, descriptive precision is also important. Let's work with advanced adjectives for describing people. Instead of he's nice, you could say he's considerate, compassionate, approachable, or charismatic. Instead of she's smart, you could say she's insightful, innovative, or perceptive. These words give you tools to describe personalities with more detail. Repeat after me. He's considerate. He's compassionate. She's perceptive. She's innovative. Very good. Now think of a friend and try to describe them with one advanced adjective. Let's also work with advanced adverbs because they often bring sentences to life. Instead of she answered quickly, you might say she answered promptly. Instead of he worked hard, you could say he worked tirelessly. Instead of they reacted slowly, you might say they reacted reluctantly. These adverbs show not just the action, but the emotion behind it. Practice with me. Repeat after me. She answered promptly. He worked tirelessly. They reacted reluctantly. Excellent. Adding adverbs like these will make your speech vivid and powerful. Now let's combine everything into a longer storytelling passage. Repeat after me slowly. Although I was reluctant to join the meeting at first, I eventually agreed, considering that my team needed my support. What was essential was not just my presence, but my active contribution. In light of the tight deadlines, we worked tirelessly to complete the project on time. Furthermore, each team member showed remarkable dedication. On top of that, our manager was considerate and gave us encouragement throughout. At the end of the day, although the task was exhausting, the results were truly rewarding. Excellent. This is how your storytelling skills become richer with every practice. At the C1 level, one of the most powerful tools you can use is precision in describing attitudes and opinions. Instead of I like it, you could say, I genuinely admire it. I deeply appreciate it, or I'm particularly fond of it. Instead of I don't like it, you might say, I find it unappealing. It doesn't resonate with me, or I'm not especially enthusiastic about it. These phrases add a subtlety and prevent your speech from sounding repetitive. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. I genuinely admire it. I deeply appreciate it. I'm particularly fond of it. I find it unappealing. It doesn't resonate with me. I'm not especially enthusiastic about it. Excellent. Now think of a movie you've seen recently and describe your feelings about it using one of these advanced expressions. Another mark of C1 fluency is the ability to describe uncertainty with nuance. Instead of just saying, I don't know, you can say, I'm not entirely certain, it remains unclear, the answer escapes me for now, or I can't say with confidence. These alternatives help you sound polite and professional. Practice with me. Repeat after me. I'm not entirely certain. It remains unclear. The answer escapes me for now. I can't say with confidence. Perfect. Imagine being in a meeting. These phrases let you participate without sounding abrupt. At this level, you also want to master advanced cause and effect vocabulary. Instead of only using so, you can use as a consequence, as a result thereby, or accordingly. For example, she studied hard, thereby improving her chances of success, or the company invested in training and accordingly, employee performance increased. These are common in academic writing but also very natural in professional discussions. Repeat after me. She studied hard, thereby improving her chances of success. The company invested in training and accordingly, employee performance increased. As a result of the changes, customers felt more satisfied. Excellent. These expressions will add sophistication to your English immediately. Another skill you need is the ability to evaluate ideas with balanced language. Instead of "that's good," you could say, "that's a valid point," "that's a reasonable observation," or "that's a well-founded argument." Instead of "that's bad," you might say, "that's questionable," "that's debatable," or "that's not entirely convincing." These expressions show critical thinking. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. That's a valid point. That's a reasonable observation. That's a well-founded argument. That's questionable. That's debatable. That's not entirely convincing. Great. Imagine a classroom discussion. These sentences allow you to respond politely while also expressing your perspective. Now let's explore advanced narrative techniques. Instead of always starting with "then" or "after that," try "subsequently," "eventually," "in the aftermath," or "ultimately." For example, the team worked day and night. Subsequently, they completed the project ahead of schedule. Or, he faced many obstacles, but ultimately he achieved his goal. These words help you tell stories with structure and variety. Practice with me. Repeat after me. Subsequently, they completed the project ahead of schedule. In the aftermath of the crisis, people came together to support each other. Eventually, everything worked out. Ultimately, he achieved his goal. Excellent. Using these in your daily storytelling will immediately make you sound more advanced. At C1, you also need to master expressions of contrast using concession clauses. For example, although it was difficult, we managed to succeed. Even though I was tired, I kept going. Despite the challenges, we completed the work. And in spite of his lack of experience, he performed well. These structures show you can balance two opposing ideas smoothly. Let's practice. Repeat after me. Although difficult, we managed to succeed. Even though I was tired, I kept going. Despite the challenges, we completed the work. In spite of his lack of experience, he performed well. Wonderful. These structures are common in academic essays and advanced speech. Finally, let's combine everything into a long practice story. Repeat after me slowly. Although the situation was uncertain, the team worked diligently to find solutions. In the aftermath of the first setback, they reorganized their approach. Subsequently, new strategies were applied, and as a result, performance improved significantly. While it remained unclear at first whether the project would succeed, it ultimately exceeded expectations. What impressed me most was not just the outcome, but the resilience everyone showed throughout. At the end of the day, it was a valid reminder that persistence, even in the face of challenges, leads to meaningful progress. Excellent. This is how you bring advanced connectors, vocabulary, and nuance together. At the C1 level, fluency is also about how naturally you handle speculation about the future. Instead of, "maybe it will happen," you could say, "it's quite possible that it will happen. There's every likelihood that it will take place," or "it seems probable that it will occur." These structures are common in news reports and professional discussions. Practice with me. Repeat after me slowly. It's quite possible that it will happen. There's every likelihood that it will take place. It seems probable that it will occur. Excellent. Notice how these expressions sound polished and confident. Another skill that makes you stand out is the ability to describe trends and changes. Instead of, "It is getting better," you can say, "It is on the rise," "It has been steadily improving," or instead of, "It is getting worse," you can say, "It is in decline," or "It has been gradually deteriorating." These expressions allow you to discuss broad topics at an advanced level. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. The use of renewable energy is on the rise. Traditional bookstores are in decline. My English has been steadily improving since I started daily practice. The situation has been gradually deteriorating over the past few months. Excellent. These are the kinds of phrases that bring depth to your discussions. Now let's strengthen your ability to express conditions and results in more sophisticated ways. Instead of always using if, you can use provided that, as long as, on condition that, or supposing that. For example, you can succeed provided that you work consistently, or "I'll join you on condition that we finish early." These structures show flexibility and variety in your grammar. Practice with me. Repeat after me. You can succeed provided that you work consistently. I'll join you on condition that we finish early. Supposing that it rains tomorrow, what will we do? Very good. These small shifts elevate your English from simple to advanced. Finally, let's practice a full storytelling passage that brings together advanced connectors, conditionals, and subtle expressions. Repeat after me slowly. Supposing that we never practice daily, our progress would be slow and frustrating. On the other hand, provided that we commit to even a small amount of English every day, the results can be astonishing. My own experience has shown that vocabulary builds steadily and grammar becomes clearer with constant use. In light of this, I firmly believe that fluency is within everyone's reach as long as persistence becomes a habit. Excellent. That's advanced fluency in action. Now, before we finish, let me remind you of something important. Fluency at C1 is not built in a day. It is built step by step, word by word, and sentence by sentence. Every time you practice, every time you repeat, every time you challenge yourself to replace a simple phrase with a more advanced one, you move closer to your goal. You already have the ability. What you need now is consistency and confidence. Thank you so much for staying with me through this masterclass. I hope you practiced along, repeated the examples, and felt your English stretch into new areas of fluency. If you enjoyed this lesson and want more, make sure to subscribe to the channel and tap the bell icon so you never miss new videos that will help you grow your English step by step. Your support means a lot, and together we'll keep building your confidence until advanced English feels natural to you. So keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and remember, every single word you learn brings you one step closer to mastery. Take care, stay motivated, and I'll see you in the next lesson.